Hey everybody, I want to talk to you today about the NPIP program. And no, I'm not trying to convince you it's a good thing. Surprise, surprise. I've heard over the years people say that the NPIP program puts a stamp of health on your flock. Nothing could be further from the truth. First of all, NPIP, National Poultry Improvement Plan, was created in the 30s in this country to protect our food supply. It had nothing to do with backyard flocks. It had to do with protecting the food supply and keeping certain diseases, which are basically pretty much eradicated now, out of our food. Salmonella pylori and Salmonella typhoid. Well, the birds in the commercial operations were tested annually, breeders tested annually, and they drew blood, and on that date, whatever bird was tested, if it tested negative, it was negative for those diseases. That day. That doesn't mean in 2 weeks it couldn't get those diseases, right? So anyway, this NPIP. Nowadays, backyard flock owners are latching onto this, and they're jumping on the bandwagon, trying to get be part of this program, which basically invites the government into your barnyard, gets you on a list. They know exactly what you have, and they test your birds. And quite frankly, I'm a little bit leery of a tester. I know they're supposed to make concessions, and they're supposed to practice their own biosecurity and wear booties and this such, but I frankly don't trust someone who's been to 5 other places that day grabbing birds and testing them. I have no faith in that, and I don't want them in my barnyard. But NPIP breeders have been responsible for outbreaks of bad communicable diseases in chickens, especially in Washington State. Big outbreak of ILT, infectious, I hope I'm saying this right, laryngotracheitis, ILT. Very bad disease, reportable to the state. The birds will sling blood in their mucus, and I mean, it's just, it's awful. Anyway, you cannot vaccinate for that disease, because the vaccine leaves them a carrier. You'd never vaccinate for that disease unless you've had that disease in your flock. Me, I'd personally rather call the flock. But the case is the breeders were responsible for spreading that. NPIP breeders are responsible for disease outbreaks. Now, you would think they were the most clean flocks in the country, but they're not. They quite often have mycoplasmosis. If a breeder does not do the extra quarterly testing and pay extra for that test in their flock, and still no guarantee, that just means the bird's free of that disease on that day of testing, and only the birds that were tested. So, if you have a carrier bird that's not showing symptoms and that bird's not tested, there's no guarantee whatsoever that your flock is clean of anything. Certainly not by this test. So don't let people get you lulled into a false sense of security by saying, all my birds are NPIP. I'm NPIP certified. That means my flocks are healthy. That could not be further from the truth. That could not be further from the truth. So, use some caution here, common sense, and remember, this is a government program that was never created for backyard flocks. So it's been expanded to that now because people were clamoring for it, I believe. It seems like people are hanging on to that as some kind of panacea for everything and guarantee that they will not get any disease in their flock, or they don't have anything in their flock, or that where they buy their birds is going to be safe. And that is just not true. I will tell you that we at Mountain View Heritage Poultry will never be part of NPIP because I frankly do not want government involved in my barnyard. My birds are not part of the food supply. I still hatching eggs occasionally. So far, my birds have been contagious disease free. So Um, just think about that. Just think about that when somebody wants to brag about their NPIP status. Most hatcheries are NPIP, but guess what? Most of them are not MG free, not guaranteed. Mycoplasma galliseptum. I'm having a hard time saying that today for some reason. Most hatcheries are not even guaranteed that they're free of disease. And they've been the cause of outbreaks of certain things occasionally. So there's nothing guaranteed. But just know that the government program is really not geared to your backyard flock. So that's all I have to say. Just thought I would clear that little misconception up and, practice good biosecurity. You be responsible for your own bird's health. You be responsible. You do research, you learn what happens, and because none of us can see a germ, even all our best efforts, something can still get in. But you do the best you can do, and you hope for the best, and if something happens, then you've done your best. That's all I have to say about the NPIP program. Thank you guys for listening and watching my little barred rock babies today. I have a trio for sale, plus an extra male, and I may have one other extra male if I can figure out if one of these is actually a male or female. Call it the it child. Bye-bye, everyone.